talk about the grain bill today. So today I'm going to be doing a pumpkin ale. I'm going to be basing this off a recipe I've got on my Brew account. I'll go ahead and put a link to it down here in the description. It's called the Libbys Pumpkin Ale. So it's a very old recipe that I've had up there forever that I've never actually tried. So finally going to do a pumpkin ale, and yeah, we'll see how that turns out. I got the pumpkin up in the oven right now. Let me go ahead and show you a quick clip of that. Okay, a little bit of a pre-brew day prep. Going to be doing a Libbys Pumpkin Ale. Got this all spread out, put about 60 ounces spread out here. Got the oven all heated up to about 350 Fahrenheit or 176 Celsius. Stick that here in the oven for about 45 minutes. So that's it. The only thing I've done differently with this recipe, other than what's up on Brew, is that I've sort of toned down the color a little bit. I've replaced the Crystal 60 with some Cara Red. I'm trying to bring down the SRM from, it was sort of registering right around 12 or 14, somewhere in there, I can't remember, but I went ahead and brought it down, so I want it to be more orange than dark, right? So take out the Crystal 60, replace it with Cara Red, and let me just go ahead and show you the recipe. Okay, so here's the recipe. Using basically about 86% hill malt, 7% biscuit malt, 7% Cara Red, and 60 ounces, which is about 4 of the small cans of Libbys Pumpkin puree, if you will. Right, going to be using the Willamette for bittering, some Tetnang at flame out, keeping the IBUs really low. You know, it's going to be less than 20 IBUs in this beer. Using 1.5 tablespoons of pumpkin spice at the end of the boil, and yeah, I'm going to ferment this out with US-05. Trying to get about 1055 today. We'll see how close we get to that target. Got Larry looking over me today, making sure everything's going all right. It's Larry's birthday, by the way, so happy birthday to Marmo22. And right now we're just filling up the HLT, getting it ready for brew day. So we'll get the water in there in the HLT, and we'll go ahead and take a pH reading and get things started. All plugged in. Alright, so the pH is coming in right about 7.03 at 21.9 degrees Celsius. So let's go ahead and mark that down on our brewing chart. Okay, so the strike water is still coming up to temperature. Got the grains all crushed. So here's the crush. Let's go ahead and get these into the mash tun. Okay, so I cooked the pumpkin a little bit too long. So what I gotta do is take away the little burnt marks here. I'll leave these out. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the rest of the pumpkin and just add that right on top of the grist. Alright, so here we go. That's all of it in there, and I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. Wait until the add the strike water, which should be in about 5 minutes, and we'll stir it in. Okay, so strike water is all heated up, so let's go ahead and get it into the mash tun. I'm not going to use the pump today. I'm just going to go ahead and take it straight out of the HLT and go right from there. Let's do that. Okay, so we're getting down there pretty close. Keep my valve open about halfway while it's going over into the mash tun. You can see the liquid starting to come up into the mash, and it's starting to seep into towards the top of the grains. So let me go ahead and concentrate on that, and then we'll come back. Alright, so the grains are in, the water's in. Go ahead and just stir it up a little bit. I'm not going to disturb it too much because I know I want most of that stuff to stay on top, so let's go ahead and set up the recirculation and get that done. Okay, so temperature is currently at 60 degrees, both in the HLT because I filled it back up with cold water, and 60 degrees inside the mash tun. Currently recycling through the coil, coming back up into the mash tun. Let's go ahead and take a look. It's a pretty nice looking color. So that should increase up to our target mash of 66 Celsius today. This should take about 5 or 10 minutes. So let's go ahead now and focus on getting our salts ready. So I want to make sure that the mash has enough calcium in it. And I'm also going to adjust for the calcium and sulfate ratio and make that closer to 1:1.
For this small batch, I'll be adding in just 3 grams of calcium sulfate. There we go. Start that off. I'll be adding in 2 grams of calcium chloride.
So there we go, not much. Let's go ahead and get this into the mash. A little bit of salts here. Okay, so now with the mash going and the salts added, looking at a pH of about 5.3 at 18 degrees. So even if that's about a degree off, or a point, if it's really about 5.4 at a 20 degrees Celsius, that's perfectly fine for me. And while I'm not using it, I'll go ahead and just set it aside and keep it in the 7.0 calibration solution, and just make sure it's calibrated every time I use it throughout the brew day. And of course, I'll go ahead and taste the sample. I think I do get a little bit of that pumpkin. Interesting. So I believe I have a problem. You see the recirculation on that is very slow, which I believe is due to the pumpkin. So even though the valve is only half opened, if I open it up all the way, the flow still is just trickling. So what does that mean? I think that means that this is my first ever stuck sparge. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up, try and get that flow going again, and then we'll check back in after. Alright, so I've tried a few things, and the flow comes back, but then the grist or the grain bill gets really sort of sucked down in the filter. The pumpkin is starting to sort of clog up the filter. So what I'm going to do is actually add in 2 more gallons of water, so it will increase my water to grist ratio. But that's okay. I just know that whatever I'm going to add, I need to subtract from my sparge. So the sparge was supposed to be about 5 gallons. So now I'm going to go ahead and just add in 2 gallons more, and then I'll only have 3 gallons of sparge water. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Sparge water is right at mash temp, so 66 degrees. And I did already adjust the pH of the sparge water to be 5.5, so shouldn't be too much of an impact on the mash. I'm going to go ahead and stop at 1 gallon and just try it at 1 gallon now. Alright, well it took about 1.5 gallons. The flow is going again. So you see we're about 30 minutes into the mash. Most of the time it's been keeping about 60 degrees Celsius. So that's a dry beer. But hopefully we'll be able to pick the temps up from here on out. Try and offset that. What a pain in the butt that was. Don't know if I'll be brewing with pumpkin again, but it's going. Alright, so we're at mash out temperature, so I'm going to go ahead and start to get this ready for sparging. You see that flow is still back down to a trickle, but it's running clear. And that's about the right trickle I want for the sparge. I'm going to go ahead and hook it up, start going into the boil kettle. So there we go, that's what it looks like coming into the boil kettle. Very nice and light. There we go, up a little bit more. That's going to be a nice color. It'll lighten up a little bit, of course, as it gets more diluted, but looking good. Alright, so I got a pre-boil gravity of about 1046. My intended gravity was 1045. The downfall is that I only collected 7.5 gallons of wort. I was aiming for about 7.9, but that's okay. I mean, it's a 5-gallon batch. I'm only going to get about a 1.5 gallon boil off anyways, maximum. So at least I got my pre-boil gravity. The volume's a little bit under, but it's still, again, only a 5-gallon batch, so I'll get 5 gallons in the fermenter for sure. Okay, so there we go. Just getting past hot break. I like to get a really aggressive hot break when I get a chance. I'm only doing a 5-gallon batch, so I don't have to worry about the boiling over. So I'm going to go ahead and crank this down now from 90% down to about 75. Got a really predictable boil off rate at 75%. So that'll just give me a really nice rolling boil. Keep it like that for the duration of the boil. Measured out 28 grams of Willamette. There we go. That's the 60-minute edition. I'll just reset the timer. 60 minutes on the clock. There we go. Okay, so I'm getting a pre-boil pH of 5.3 at 19.4 degrees Celsius. I wish it was a little bit lower, but I'm not going to manipulate the pH at all with acid. I'll go ahead and keep it here. So yeah, 5.29, 5.3. That's it. Alright, so 45 minutes into the brew. Just under 6.5 gallons left. And, wort flock tablet. Half a wort flock tablet. Going in. Alright, 5 minutes left in the boil. Time for the 28 grams of tetnine. Also 1.5 tablespoon of pumpkin spice. So I've actually got the real pumpkin spice here, McCormick's. That's what I'm going to use. Please don't fall in there. Ooh. Alright, there goes one. And a half. That definitely spices it up. Alright, so that's flame out. I'm just gonna let it sort of settle a little bit. I'll start running it through the chiller in order to sterilize the chiller and the pump. Run it back up here into the kettle. Whirlpool it a little bit, cool it down. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and I'll turn on the chiller, cool it down, and get it into the fermenter. Get a pretty good flow coming into the fermenter. It's coming in at about 15 degrees. I'll go ahead and up the flow on that a little bit. Fill up the fermenter a little bit faster. See the temperature increase. About 18 is where I want it. I'm going to back it off a little bit. I don't want to come out too fast. So it's better if it's a little bit colder than warmer. Right at 18, so I got a really good flow. It's not too fast, it's not too slow. So I'm going to pull stuff out of the kettle, and it's right at 18 degrees, exactly where I want it. Okay, so almost last, but certainly not least, need a healthy dose of oxygen. Go. There. Okay, so there we go. Oxygenating the wort. Do this for about 45 seconds. It's not a big beer, so it doesn't need a lot. And yeah, then we'll pitch the yeast. Now I know I said I was going to be using US-05 on this one, but I found that I have a pretty recent California ale yeast available. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Just one packet, and yeah, that's all I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it open and get it in here. I did shake it up for quite a while, but as you can see, it doesn't come up with very much, as much liquid as the vials used to have. All right. Okay, got some star sand and water here. Time to put in the tube. Let's see, let's get the tube out of the star sand. There we go. Boom. Boom. All right, got the blow off. Ready to go. There we are. Time to get the temp probe up. Little piece of styrofoam here. Should hold it in place. Get it up in here. So you can see I got 20 liters, so about a quart more than 5 gallons. 19, just over the 19 liter mark. So good to go. got the temperature set up for 18 degrees. Let's go here, check it out. 18 degrees on the money, and currently at 16. So I'll let this sort of free rise, and it'll stay at 18 for the next, at least for the next week. Alright, so we're on day 6 of fermentation. I've cranked it up to 19 degrees yesterday morning, and now I just cranked it up to 20 degrees, so it's slowly rising. You can see that the fermentation has been going quite well. Had a pretty good head on there, krausen. Had to put the heat belt on it, of course. It's a little bit colder down here in my basement these days, right around 14 degrees. So yeah, the heat belt's keeping it at the temperature. You can see it's still fermenting a little bit, but I'll probably go ahead and leave it like this for a couple more days, and then check the gravity. So yeah, there we go. So that's it, guys. That's another brew day. That's the pumpkin brew day, done and dusted. Fermentation's nearly complete. As soon as it's done, I'll go ahead and give you an update on a homebrew Wednesday sometime in the near future. Till then, finishing up on an ESB. Cheers.